Real Madrid style late on against Manchester City here, and they take now that advantage to the Bernabeu for the second leg. Jurgen Klinsmann and Frank LeBoeuf have been watching the game for us as well. They join us now. Let me start with you, Jurgen. We were watching it with our boss and he said, well, that was something.
That was fantastic. I think it was such a fun game to watch. I mean, obviously, you don't want a game like this happening in so early stage, because it could be the final of the Champions League, not at that early stage, and one team has to go home. It promised a lot, and it kept all the promises that we hoped for. A lot of goals, and some drama. I thought, Real Madrid started really well. Had the better of both teams, but then Erling Haaland, scored his first goal, and then later on, obviously followed up with a penalty kick. This kid is now 24 years old and has 49 Champions League goals. This is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But it's a matchup that obviously depends on your superstars, and they need to show up, and that's what we all hoped. The fans hope that obviously the front four of Real Madrid, gives us some highlights, and they did. I think none of them disappointed. It took Bellingham quite a while to get into the game, but then he got really into the game in the second half. Vinicius Jr. was always lively, Rodrigo was lively, and Kylian Mbappe was there as well. And so, it could have ended in a 2-2 draw. It could have ended in a 2-1 win for Man City. But with Real Madrid, that is their story. Their story is, they go until the very, very end of a game, and they're always capable to score goals, especially when the opponent is making mistakes. And that's what Man City, unfortunately, did. A few mistakes too many, especially at the very end. You cannot afford that against Real Madrid. And so we will see a feisty second leg, obviously, next week in Madrid. It's not done yet, in my opinion. Man City still has a chance to advance, but it's going to be very, very difficult.
Did you enjoy it as much as Jurgen, Frank?
No, I will go the other way. Maybe Jurgen is the optimistic guy. I'm the pessimistic one. But I saw so many mistakes. It's very hard to analyze a game like that, where in fact it's always when the team was at its worst that they scored a goal, and it's when they felt good that they conceded a goal. And I didn't get it. So even the two goals, the one from Mbappe is funny, is a funny one, let's say, rather saying is a joke. And Vini, when he tried to chip the ball, in fact he made an assist to Jude Bellingham. But everything was strange for me in that game. Real Madrid were very good the first 20 minutes, should have scored, and they conceded a goal. Then Manchester City were better after scoring a goal, then they conceded a goal. And everything went the other way around, in the wrong way. So it makes me think that I enjoyed, because football is made of mistakes, and if you don't have any mistakes, you don't see any goals. But there were so many everywhere, especially defensively from City. But also, I found Real Madrid very passive when they conceded the goal, and after they didn't react. And it's why I don't know who's going to go through. I think Real Madrid have more tools than Manchester City. But really, if they keep on playing like that, comparing to a team like Liverpool, for example, they won't exist. They're going to be punished. So I don't see any of the two teams going far in that competition, even if we know that Real Madrid can do miracles in that competition.
But let's talk about those mistakes, because in the 85th minute at home, Manchester City were leading this game, and then it's their own mistakes that were punished in those final minutes of it.
And it's nothing new for Manchester City, specifically this season. And so when we talk about a team that has had difficulties winning matches and closing out matches, those things build over time. And you may think it's just us sitting here talking about it. No, those guys know that this season they've had time after time after time after time after time after time opportunities to close out games, and they haven't been able to do so. And so that lack of confidence shows. Manchester City had the ball in their hands, physically in their hands, with Ederson winning the game 2-1. He gives the ball straight to Real Madrid. Real Madrid go on to score the second goal. Okay, fine. 2-2. It's not the best result, but it gives us some hope for the second leg. Again, you have the ball in your feet, and you're Manchester City. And for years upon years upon years, Manchester City have been at their best with the ball at their feet. And they turn the ball over once again. and Real Madrid go on to score. Now, it's not just tonight. It's a history of this season for Real Madrid, for Manchester City. And because of it, as a player, you know full well that you have those difficulties. You know full well that you haven't been able to do it. And you don't draw from a history of success, you're drawing from a history of failures, recent failures. And they show up at the worst time possible. And it's what happened today to Manchester City.
Yeah, as Ali was saying, and as we were just seeing there, it's not the first time it's happened this season, not the second, not the third, not the fourth. Manchester City giving up leads, as you can see here. This one to Real Madrid. Back in January, the 4-2 loss against PSG, they were leading 2-0 after the 53rd minute. That 2-2 draw at Brentford when they were also leading 2-0. Back in December, the loss to Manchester United, conceding in the 88th and the 90th minute. And then in November, the 3-3 draw with Feyenoord, where they were leading 3-0 after the 53rd minute and then conceded 3 late goals in this game. Now, it may be normal this season, Jurgen, but this, as Ali's saying, is not normal for a team like Manchester City.
No, it's not normal, and for Pep Guardiola, this is very, very difficult to swallow, because as a manager, when you have a face like that and you concede last-minute goals and your games get turned around in the very last 10-15 minutes, it's a brutal experience to go through, because you literally on the sideline, you hope that your players show ownership, show leadership. That's where you rely on specific players then on the field that carry that result, obviously over the time. And that's missing right now. There's nobody on the field getting loud or getting nasty or making a point to say, whatever happens now, we're up 2-1. We know how good Real Madrid is, obviously, with their front four. But, we kick the ball up in the stand, or we just get it over the time or whatever, instead of maybe just trying to score a third goal now. And you mentioned all the other games. It's very similar there. So as a manager, when I kind of feel a little bit for Pep out there, you hope that specific players in that moment in time, take the lead and communicate certain things and get the game over. And obviously you can see it on Ederson tonight. He was not himself. He was nervous. He was doing a couple of little mistakes here and there. His deliveries up there, playing out of the back. And then what happened in the last couple of minutes is a sign for that. And when it starts with your goalkeeper, then it goes to the entire team, and that's what you get then at the end of the day.